Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a very good evening to all of you. Let's start today's lesson. So we are studying how to talk to anyone, 92 little tricks, and we are on the page of 127. So trick number 28, how to be a university to gain their respect and affection. 6. Now that I have your attention, 2-bit comics have been using that gag from the days when 2 bits bought a 4 square meal. However, big winners know there is a 3-letter word more potent than 6 that has got people's attention. That word is you. Why is you such a powerful word? Because when we were infants, we thought we were the centers of the universe. Nothing mattered but me, myself, and I. The rest of the shadowy forms stirring about us, which we later learned were other people, existed solely for what they could do for us. Self-centered little tykes that we were, our tiny brains translated every action, every word into, how does that affect me? Okay, so big winners know we haven't changed a bit. Adults camouflage their self-centeredness under a mask of civilization and politeness. Yet, the human brain still immediately, instinctively, and unfailingly translates everything into terms of how does that affect me? For example, suppose, gentlemen, you want to ask a colleague, Jill, if she would like to join you for a dinner. So you say to her, there's a really good new Indian restaurant in town. Will you join me there for dinner tonight? Before answering, Jill is thinking to herself, by good, does he mean the food or the atmosphere or both? Her reverie continues, Indian cousin, I'm not sure. He says it's good, however, will I like it? While thinking, Jill hesitates. You probably take her hesitation personally and the joy of the exchange diminishes. Suppose instead you had said to her, Jill, you will really love this new Indian restaurant. Will you join me there this evening for dinner? Phrasing it that way, you have already subliminally means غیر محسوس طریقے پر subliminally answered Jill's questions, and she is more apt to give you a quick yes. Okay, so the pleasure-pain principle is guiding force in life. Psychologists tell us every automatically gravitates towards that which is pleasurable and pulls away from that which is painful. For many people, thinking is painful, so big winners, when they wish to control, inspire, be loved by, sell to people or get them to go to dinner, do the thinking for them. So they translate everything into other person's terms by starting as many sentences as they can with that powerful little 3-letter word, you. Thus, I call the technique communication. Okay, so communicate when you want a favor. So putting you first gets a much better response, especially when you are asking a favor, because it pushes the asker's pride button. Suppose you want to take a long weekend. You decide to ask your boss if you can take Friday off. Which request do you think he or she is going to react to more positively? Can I take Friday off, boss? Or this one, boss, can you do without me Friday? So in this first case, boss had to translate your can I take Friday off into can I do without this employee Friday? That's an extra thought process, and you know how some bosses hate to think. Okay, so however, in the second case, boss, can you do without me Friday? You did boss thinking for her. So your new word made managing without you a matter of pride for boss. Of course, she said to herself, I can manage without your help Friday. So communicate your compliments. So communicate also enriches your social conversation. Gentleman says, a lady like your suit, which woman gives you warmer feelings. The woman who says, I like your suit, or the one who says, you look great in that suit. Okay, so big players who make business presentation use communication to excellent advantage. Suppose you are giving a talk and a participant asks a question. He likes to hear you say, that's a good question. However, consider how much better he feels when you tell him you have asked a good question. Salespeople don't just tell your prospects. It's important that convince them by informing them you will see the importance of. So when negotiating, instead of the result will be, let them know you will see the result when you. So starting sentences with you even works when talking to strangers on the street. Once driving around San Francisco hopelessly lost, I asked people walking along the sidewalk how to get to the Golden Gate Bridge. I stopped a couple trudging up a hill. "Excuse me," I called out the window. "I can't find the Golden Gate Bridge." The pair looked at each other and shrugged with that. How stupid can these tourists get? Look on their faces. That direction. The husband mumbled, pointing straight ahead. Still lost. I called out to the next couple I encountered. "Excuse me, where is the Golden Gate Bridge?" Without smiling, they pointed in the opposite direction. Then I decided to try communication. When I came upon the next strolling couple, I called out the window. "Excuse me, could you tell me where the Golden Gate Bridge is?" "Of course," they said, answering my question literally. You see, by phrasing the question that way, it was a subtle challenge. Okay, so I was asking, in essence, are you able to give me directions? This hits them in the pride button. So they walk over to my car and gave me explicit instructions. Hey, I thought, this you stuff really works. To test my hypothesis, I tried it a few more times. I kept asking passerby my 3 forms of the question. Sure enough, whenever I asked, "Could you tell me where?" people were more pleasant and helpful than when I stated the question with "I" or "where." So technique number 28 is communication. So start every appreciate sentence with you. It immediately grabs your listener's attention. It gets a more positive response because it pushes the pride button and saves them having to translate it into me terms. When you sprinkle you as liberally as salt and pepper throughout your conversation, your listeners find it an irresistible spice. I'm sure when they recover the flight box from the fall of man under a fig leaf in the Garden of Eden, it will convince the world of the power of the word you. Eve did not ask Adam to eat the apple. She did not command him to eat the apple. She didn't even say, "Adam, I want you to eat this apple." She phrased it as all big winner would. "You will love this apple." That's why he bit. Okay, so communicate as a sign of sanity. Is a sign of sanity. So therapists calculate inmates of mental instructions say I and me 12 times more often than residents of the outside world. As a patient's conditions improve, the number of times they use the personal pronouns also diminishes. Continuing up the sanity scale, the fewer times you use I, the more sane you seem to your listeners. If you eavesdrop on big winners talking with each other, you will notice a lot more you than I in their conversation. The next technique concerns a way big winners are silently you-oriented. Okay, that's enough for today, inshallah. Thank you so much for listening to me patiently. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.